Howdy, it's Jim Arado, and I just recently put up some trolley tour videos I took in late 2023, and I went through some of my old files and I found, here's pretty much another complete video around Savannah from 2018. I know I've put similar stuff up before. This is going to be a couple of hours long, but I thought there might be some people out there that might have some interest in this. So, feel free to watch and enjoy.
Okay, guys. Now, as we put away here, look over to your right. It says the Telfair Hospital. In actual fact, that was the Telfair Hospital for Women as was. And that was financed again by Mary Telfair, the lady with the quirky caveats. Listen to the one she put on this. No male patients, no male staff. The only way to be a man in that hospital was to be born there, and you know she was not happy with that. Because she specified in the charge, if a male child is born within these premises, he will vacate the premises within 3 days, and there will be no exceptions. What do you think? Somebody done her wrong? Big time. Now, the story about Mary is quite fascinating. The city benefits tremendously from her generosity. You see, there were two sisters who were the daughters of the richest man in Georgia, but they're both in love with the same man. You know this one's got wet in tears. There's the young and beautiful Margaret, not so young and not so beautiful Mary. He marries Margaret. Mary never got married. There were no issues to Mary. But the fortune she inherited from her father, she bequeathed to the city, albeit always with the quirky caveat. This is the one she put on the family home, which is now the Telfair Museum. She stipulated no frivolity, merriment, laughter, smoking, or alcohol. Now you start to understand why that guy married Margaret. On your right, this is the mansion, built in 1888. It was 18,000 square feet and a single family residence. Yes, they didn't talk a lot. It's now a hotel. On the right and far right corner of this building, another wonderful restoration job by SCAD, and that's inside there are the general offices of SCAD. You wouldn't know from the exterior, even the lighting appears to be domestic lighting from the outside. This is another one of theirs, that is their computer center. They just acquired this, they'll do something similar there. Look to right through the trees, that is the Cancer Hospital. At one time this was the Confederate Hospital, then it became a Union Hospital. There, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you on your right hand side, may I present to you the majestic Cancer Home. This guy is well over 250 years old, and look, he's still going strong.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
They're doing with that Spanish moss, of course. The next stop is stop number 5. This is the stop for the Massey Heritage Centre. It started life as the Massey School in 1856, the very first public school in Georgia. It will open its doors at 10 o'clock. To get there, we're going to make a turn to the right. We're going to run along the side of the Wesley Monumental United Methodist Church. Get the rest of the chapel. Look up at the second floor of this chapel. Those windows there are all antique Tiffany stained glass. They are exquisite. Calvert Square, a couple of bombs coming up here. But Calvert Square is unique because all these houses that are facing you on the exterior of these are as they were back in the 1860s. So this is the same architectural view as the populace at that time. These do remain C3 as complete stop and stop number 5. These doors are open, and do take your time on the steps. Stop number 5, I think. Yes. You know what I was saying about always look up? Well, on the far left corner, there's a red brick building. It's called the Ben E, the Baptist Church, but to appreciate the architectural detail, you do have to look up here. And then you'll also see the Gothic arches with the stained glass windows. And when we cross over here, look on this side through the trees, and then you'll see 3 identical arrangements of Gothic arches with stained glass windows. Really rather lovely. Look now. Make our way into Whitfield Square, named after George Whitfield. He established Bethesda Orphanage to the Savannah City in 1740, the oldest orphanage in the country. And as you enter the square and look left, and in the middle you see a rather nice gazebo here. This is very popular for weddings in the spring and the fall. This was given to the city by Burt Reynolds. He directed two movies in Savannah. One is called Swamp, the other is called Gator. Twice he got married in Savannah. The movies didn't work. The marriages didn't work. But we got a gazebo out of the deal.
That's all that
matters. Look on the bright side.
Yes.
Always on the bright side of life. So as we exit this square, we're heading towards what is officially termed as Troop Square, but this is it's named after General McIntosh Troop. He was a bit of a hero in the siege of Savannah, but everybody locally, that is, refers to this square as the Jingle Bell Square. I will elaborate on this shortly. Look to your left, look to your right. This street is known as Jones Street. According to Southern Living, one of the most elegant streets in the country. It is a joy just to go and a stroll along there. So we're edging into the Jingle Bell Square. As we enter the square, directly to your left, there's a little church over there on the corner. It's called the Universal Unitarian Church. The organist there, the winter of 1856, was James L. Pierpoint, and he was from Massachusetts. And he was homesick for snow. That's when he penned Jingle Bells, which then got taken up and published countrywide as a one-horse open sleigh. That all came about because we very rarely ever get snow in Savannah. And look in the middle of the square, you see quite an ornate sundial. Notice on the outer band in gold are the signs of the zodiac. This official title of that is an Amarillary sphere. Look down to your left now, can you see a nice piece of Victoriana down there, a Victorian dog water fountain. As we turn to exit the square, we will be running alongside the Universal Unitarian Church, or better known as the Jingle Bells Church. And when we cross over this intersection, on your right hand side, we're going to be running alongside St. John the Baptist Catholic Cathedral. The next stop is stop number 6, and that is at the front of the cathedral. And after 10 o'clock, that stop will also be for the Andrew Lowe House and the childhood home of Flannery O'Connor and the authoress. One of her better known books is A Good Man is Hard to Find. And both of those houses are on the square approaching on your left. It is known as Lafayette Square. This was named after the Marquess de Lafayette, a high-ranking French officer in the Revolutionary War. As we enter the square, there's a couple of homes coming up here. Extra care is required at this stop, guys, if you leave with me, because the camber is quite severe, forcing the trolley to a very distinct tilt. To counter that, make sure you do use the handholds and the handrails. Stop number 6. To your right, folks, coming into view is going to be a long open area. This is going to be the dueling ground of all. This is where the gentlemen would settle their differences. That would be 10 paces, turn and fire. Like that. And when you come to think about this, it's rather well designed, considering the losers certainly didn't have far to go. The Colonial Park Cemetery. Now this dates from 1750. It was also the campground for some of Sherman's cavalry troops. Being very mischievous, you altered some of the inscriptions on the gravestones in there. So that affects some people in here, according to their headstones, lived to be over 700 years old. Some people in here died before they were born. Welcome to Savannah. Now, this is a fun cemetery to go into, and you don't hear that sales pitch too often. It's fun to go in and see who can spot. The text on the headstones makes no sense at all. For example, example, a young lady in there died in childbirth at the age of 3. Now that's going to clue you up. You got to remember, most of those guys were actually literate, but they were not numerically literate. No, they knew about money, they knew about numbers. So they would concentrate their efforts on the numerals. If you do the same, you would then quickly discern the fake rummies and scratches, and then change the numbers around. A little bit of detective work, you decide what the original text was all about. Now looking to your left, returning towards a large bell coming into view. This is known as Main Church, the very first fire bell of Savannah. It was struck once for a fire in square 1 and then 24 times for fire in square 24. Big tune. Now notice the memorial stone on the far side, carved on the side facing the bell, the names of the fallen firefighters who died in the line of duty. Now these trees are called live oak trees. They get the name live oaks because they're green all year, but they're not evergreen. They do shed their leaves in the spring once the new growth has come through, so they always appear to be green and alive, as opposed to the northern oaks. They then shed their leaves in the fall and then appear to be dead through the winter time. On the right hand corner of this block approaching is going to be the Juliet Gordon Low house, and Juliet was born in this house on Halloween night 1860, and she established the Girl Scout movement in America right here in Savannah in 1912. She presided over that organisation until her death in 1927. Luke's left as we cross over the intersection in the middle of the beach, we're going to see there's a Jewish monument. 42 Jewish emigrants followed over from Central Europe to escape religious persecution up in July 1733. 16 of those early settlers are buried right there. These live oak trees, the wood of the live oak trees is the second hardest in the world, and it will take an enormous amount of punishment. It'll bend, it'll flex without breaking, reassert itself, and because of this they were highly prized in the wooden sailing ship days. When the British were here, these were known as the King's trees, and they were a protected species and were reserved strictly for the Royal Navy because of the inherent qualities therein. On your right, this federal building here, the very first in the country, was ever named after a woman. You'll be able to see from the door, the Juliet Gordon Low Federal Building. As we turn to the right, coming up to view on your left-hand side will be the Jackson Center for the Arts. And as we make our turn, look in the corner here, you're going to see a poster for the Bird Girl statue.
Bird Girl statue.
And that statue was on the cover of the book about Savannah, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. And she was also the opening scene of the movie of the same name. Relocated here for her own protection from Bonaventure Cemetery because of the notoriety generated through that story and the movie. Ahead of us is Telfair Square, named after the Telfair family, whose family home is over there to your left through the trees. Is that beige building there? You see that a lot more clearly when we get to the other side. That was donated to the city by Mary Telfair to be used as an art and a cultural centre. Is now the Telfair Museum. We'll see that a little more clearly when we get to the other side. As we turn here, on your right hand side, all these government buildings all managed to sneak under the wire before the Historic Society was firmly established. There was some skullduggery here with these getting through and being built, which was bitterly opposed by the locals, who still refer to these buildings as the public toilets. Welcome to Savannah. Returning to the left here, we're turning towards the Telfair Mansion, and as we make our turn, we kind of have to look to your right. This red brick wall coming into view, you can see, I always get a very funny feeling somebody is looking at me as I make this turn. Oh, so spooky at night that is.
That's funny.
The Telfair Mansion ahead is the Telfair family home. Guys. Plantation owner and also the governor of Georgia. to open at 11 o'clock. So bear that in mind, folks. Also, both of our stops are very close to the famous Lady and Sons. That's Miss Paula D, the queen of Southern cuisine. You know, put some salt in your mouth. We do a Paula D tour. We use at 3:30 every afternoon. A rags to riches story. We take you where she started with only $200 in the bag lady. And then how she built up her career from there to a celebrity chef. And then we culminate that tour by taking you into the restaurant for a full Southern buffet dinner. It's fun, it's informative, and very satisfying. All you can eat Southern buffet dinner. The street we're waiting to cross over here is Broughton Street. And Broughton Street is actually is a conventional shopping and dining street which opens again at 10 o'clock. This stop we're going to is actually also the stop for the Prohibition Museum. Prohibition Museum, this is the only one in the country, folks. Shows you all about the Prohibition days, the bootleggers, the birth of NASCAR. It has a speakeasy. It's fascinating. If you don't have a ticket for the Prohibition Museum, folks, I do have coupons here that will entitle you to $4 a head off the entry fee. $4 each off. That would go a long way. It's a nice cocktail in the speakeasy. You may see we have a complete stop here. The doors are open. And use those handrails. Stop number 7. Okay, thank you very much indeed, you guys. Anybody want a coupon? Yeah, okay, you're good to go then, alright? Do to left, lift to right, City Market coming into view. This is a Model A Ford right in front of the Prohibition Museum. Now on the far left corner, what's going to go into view is going to be Club 1. Club 1 was in the movie Midnight in the Garden, Good and Evil. And that is where the Lady Chablis performed, the black female impersonator. And she took her name from the side of a wine bottle. Class lady. Well, the Lady Chablis performed on a regular basis in this nightclub until a year last September. And sorry to inform you that lovely Lady Chablis passed away a great long last week I was recording it. That one, she broke the mold. She taught us all to be far more accepting of the alternative lifestyle. Great in history, like everybody in Savannah and her family country wife. Over there, folks, you just see a container ship going upriver. You see it going over the top of those buildings over there. As we turn to the right, on your left, the top of the old cotton warehouse is the far side of that, 42 feet down is the Savannah River. That was the port of Savannah in the sailing ship days. Now this is the destination. We go down that main shore. To get a great vision of the river. As you cross over this intersection, you look to your left, you're going to see there's going to be a curved stone bench known as the Oglethorpe bench on your left. This is where it's reported to have set up camp when you first arrived here. February the 12th, 1733. Just step down there in the Hyatt Hotel, and look to the right of the Hyatt. This is important, guys. A little building there with a green sign on it. See where those guys are standing? That's the elevator. This is provided for you to take you safely down to now into Johnson Square. To get to Johnson Square, you take a turn to the right and look to your left. In the middle here, you're going to see there will be a large obelisk. There's the monument to Nathaniel Greene. He was a high-ranking officer in the Revolutionary War. He was also a good friend of Washington's. And for his services, he was awarded Mulberry Grove Plantation, which is about 3 miles upriver. He was not used to the Savannah weather, and he went out riding in that summer sun without his hat. Silly man. He got heat stroke and he died, leaving a widow and 4 young children. Mrs. Greene wanted those children to be well educated, so the Nullifair contracts a young man who had attended Yale University. His name was Eli Whitney. That is the man that's credited with inventing the cotton gin. Now Eli, he might have been a clever inventor, but he was certainly not too smart a businessman. He did not get our patents nailed down tight. Other people took his ideas, they improved his ideas, they made the money. Eli, he did not. Not a happy bunny was Eli. Of course with no money, but the moral of the story is the devil is in the detail. You don't got to write the binding document, you're going to lose out just like he did. The devil is indeed in the detail. Same thing applies today, folks. We're going to be crossing over Brownson Street one more time.
Jensen friends.
And here you're going to see that the chains are actually in evidence here. As we enter the square, we turn to the right, look to your left. And you're going to see a substantial monument here to William Washington Gordon. He was actually the founder of the Central and Georgia Railroad and also its first president. Well, people don't remember him for those great achievements. He's really only remembered his grandfather of a particular lady named Juliet Gordon, though, the founder of the Girl Scout movement in America. United States Post Office and Courthouse, built in this elegant entirety out of marble mine in Georgia. The date on this is 1899. If you're on the right of the trolley and you can look up, folks, you'll be able to see the architectural detail under the eaves. It's really quite lovely. Turn here, look on the far corner, you're going to see a large bowl and a monument to Chief Tomachichi, the co-founder of the colony of Georgia. Now, this beige building in the southwestern style of architecture, 1889, is the Chatham County Courthouse. This is very typical architectural styling of that period. And on the left of the trolley now, look up and you see that clock tower, that very specific styling from that period. When we cross over this intersection, on your left-hand side is going to be a little eatery called the Zunzi's Express. That's where the flags are flying. It opens at 11 o'clock. One of those flags is, there's primarily sandwiches. One of those flags is South African, and this is South African cuisine, which is delicious. It may be small, but it won the Sandwich of the Year award about 2 years ago. One of its creations called Conquistador. That's actually still on the menu. It's a very friendly and convivial place to have a meal. A novel dining experience too, and I will show you that in just a minute. The procedure is actually come lunchtime, the line will be along the sidewalk here. But you pick up your meal from the kiosk and then you retire into the parking lot and you dine al fresco style. It's kind of fun to do it. Good evening. Now this is Oglethorpe Square we're heading into, named after James Edward Oglethorpe, the founder of the colony of Georgia. On the far corner over there, that beige building with the green shutters, that is the Owens Thomas house. A lovely antebellum home, 1819. Many original featurettes. We enjoyed the original kitchen, the dormitory room, it had running water before the White House. According to American Architects Digest, it's one of the most beautifully designed for the period. You can see everything both inside and out of this house is a perfect balance. And look how they did it at the front as we go in front of it. It's very simple how they did it, but very effectively. Look to your right, 2 gates, 2 planters, 2 gas lights, 2 staircases, 2 center columns, and 2 front doors. Now, after 12 o'clock, it's one of those that opens later. Perhaps you can visit this house from the next stop. You can also, but that next stop is also for the Azad Davenport House and Webb's Military Museum. And both of those attractions are now open. And that will be stop number 8. To get there, we take a right up here. We head along Ramsey Street or Main Street. As you turn to the right here, look to your left, coming into view is going to be Leopold's Ice Cream Bar. You find yourself in this area, folks, try this ice cream. This is rated number 5 in the country. I tell you, you'll not be disappointed if you try that. It is excellent. We're going to make a turn to the right here. We head in towards stop number 8. We make a return into the Colonial District. If you're planning on leaving me here, guys, just remain seated. You'll get a complete stop. The doors are open. Always make sure you take your time on the steps. That's the real trick. As we enter the square ahead, take a look to your right. It's one of Savannah's eccentrics. It's called the Kehoe House. The Kehoe House was built by William Kehoe in the 1800s. He had his own iron foundry. So everything you see in here that's not brick is made of cast iron. Look at the steps. There's your giveaway. One time the house was owned by Joe Namath. That was his escape house. He had that for 3.5 years before the publicity house of the day tracked him down. This square is known as Columbia Square, named after the female mythical spirit that looks after the fortunes of the nation. We turn to exit the square. Coming up on your right-hand side is going to be Webb's Military Museum. As we head towards Green Square, named after Nathaniel Green, but we all know he's not in here. Remember, that's the guy under the obelisk in Johnson Square. One of the anomalies in Savannah, they never put the guy in the square that they love. Nobody can tell me why. And when we get on the far side of the square, look across, there'll be a church facing you, which is the Second African Baptist Church. It was in that church that Sherman issued the Field Order 15, 40 acres of the field, early in 1865. We get past these 2 little houses here. Look to your left, and you'll see there's a gap. You'll be able to see the side of the church through this gap here. gives you perspective on the church. The congregation now is the first ever to hear the speech, which is just coming on right now.
I have a dream. My four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
Now, most like to know about real estate and want to just change hands on this square. Look over in the corner over there, it's that little one behind the green picket fence. It is the smallest house in Savannah. It dates from 1845. There are 511 square feet of usable space, and the fireplace, it does not work. I am acquainted with these facts because it just recently changed hands a little under $300,000 for the doll's house to your left. Be assured it was not the trolley driver who purchased that little lodge. The next stop is stop number 9. This closest stop to the Marriott Hotel. It's marked on your map as the Pirate House, which is now a restaurant specializing in southern food. It opens at 11 o'clock. The building itself dates from 1754 when it was a tavern for pirates and sailors. This place was notorious. It had 3 different tunnels running from the building to various parts of the port, facilitating nefarious carries-on. Smuggling was rife. More ominously was used extensively for Shanghai naive young men out of here. You see, it's a setup, it's a tavern. There's drinking, there's laughter, there's music, there's singing. This is like a huge magnet to a Georgia boy. He mentions there, he's welcome. Then he's given far too much to drink. And when the timing is just right, he's slipped a Mickey. The timing of the Mickey is to do with the tides, because the sailing ships go out the tide. And this young man is now in the process of in Shanghai. Once he was unconscious through the tunnel onto the waiting sailing ship, money would change hands, and that would sail away. Alas, he'd wake up in the middle of the ocean, not only with a monumental hangover, but with a naval career ahead of him. Now, the stories of what was going on in the Pirate House right here in Savannah traveled the shipping lanes. And Robert Louis Stevenson credits, he got the inspiration for the classic story Treasure Island from this story he heard of what was going on in the Pirate's House in Savannah, Georgia. There is a sign to that effect confirming it, which I will highlight to you. Remember, all the restaurants open at about 11 o'clock. So you're telling us if it's not 9, you get the green stop, the doors are open, take your time on the steps, always use the ambience.
thought we did that for lunch tomorrow.
So as we edge forward, folks, look under the porch ahead, and you see what I was just telling you about this side. Coming to you now. There you go. And then the tunnels ran from the building through this bluff here, down to the port area, and that'll come into view clearly on your right once you can turn to the left. Look over to your left over there, you see a federal lantern, 1852. That was the name of the navigation on the Savannah River. And coming to view on your right hand side is the Savannah River. The next stop is down on River Street. These are dangerous in the dry, they are lethal in the wet. So please, use that elevator. I've seen too many people taking totally unnecessary tumble. Don't want to be one of you guys. It's only a few minutes walk from any of these ramps. Look to your right, staircases are not a good alternative to the elevator. It's got a disclaimer, use at your own risk, and that's what they mean. Black and yellow gives you the whole story. That is hazard sign, danger, stay away, watch out. Look to your left, can you see how they incorporated these ballast stones into the cotton warehouses? And this was the working port of Savannah back then, now the port is upriver and also downriver. Remain seated, we had a complete stop at stop number 10. The doors are open first, the shops are open now, and then the restaurant is open at 11 o'clock. Stop number 10. Come on now, take your time, use the handrails, watch step, use the handrails. Thank you, good. You got a ticket there, man? Again, that's lovely, thank you very much, take a seat, welcome aboard. You guys, thank you very much indeed, take a seat. Welcome aboard. Hi there, how you doing? Good, thank you very much. Alright, how are you? Well, hi there, welcome aboard. Thank you, welcome aboard. Thank you very much, sir. Please always remain seated while the trolley is moving. Arms inside at all times. This is stop number 10. My name is Michael. You're going to be the photographer. Now, if anybody's on the ghost tour, folks, this is where they go from of an evening. I'm just putting on a promo now as we depart.
The evening hours are upon you, and unseen spirits haunt the streets of Savannah. Hear the stories no other tours dare to tell on the Ghosts of Gravestones Trolley. From the city's mysterious history to its gravest moments, its ghastly folk. When the conductor howls, all aboard, you answer the call.
Look over there to your left, can you see that it's still Savannah? There's Hutchinson Island made from the dredges of the Savannah River. Oh, sorry, this machine is jumping around a bit. And the tall building is the Western Hotel, with the left of that is Savannah International Trade and Convention Centre. The waterway to your left is the shipping channel. Spend any time on River Street, you probably see, chances are you see the large ships coming up and down the river area. Remember, this is the second largest port on the eastern seaboard. The biggest ship in the world frequents Savannah. That is the GMA Roosevelt, a Panamax container ship coming through the expanded Panama Canal. And it's approximately 5 football fields long. Gives you an idea of the size of this behemoth. The second part of the port of Savannah is about to come into view downriver, and that's going to be the bulk cargo port. Coming to view on your left-hand side is the statue of the Waving Girl. There's a true story of a local girl called Florence Martus. She fell in love with a sailor back in 1887, and she hoped that he loved her and he would return to marry her. And so for the next 44 years, 44 long years, look, she waited and she waited, meeting every ship coming into Savannah, waving the towel during the day and then the land at the night for 44 years. Not the brightest star in the sky, Florence. The here she left is the Olympic Court, which burned bright with the Olympic flame back in 1996 for the yachting athletes. Yacht events held on the coast of Tybee, 18 miles downriver. As we turn here, look to your right, the remains of Fort Wayne. A little bit on the top, can you see those gun ports? Each gun port held a 32-pounder cannon. Now we're back on these ballast stones. It is a bumpy ride. Now they're here because the cotton sailing ships had very little cargo to bring here, but they did need ballast to enable them to sail. So they took these from the water rivers around Liverpool, England, because they were eroded, making them perfect as ballast. They're not loaded here while they took on the cotton cargo. There's no natural rock in this area, it's all sand. So the only settlement is always available, the ballast stones. Necessity is indeed the mother of invention. surrounding General War. He was a casualty in the Battle of Bunker Hill, the Revolutionary War. And as we enter the square, if you look on the left of the square, you will see it is the colonial district. That's circa late 1700s. On the left, rather nice and elegant. And on the right-hand side of the square, we got a really ugly parking garage. And we are talking serious ugly. One night the wrecking ball goes in and two old homes go out. This is what we got. But this incensed 7 ladies of Savannah so much, they vowed this would never happen again. And because of this, they set about establishing the historic foundation of Savannah. And that is why we have this lovely city to enjoy today, folks. Because those 3 ladies making a stand. So, approaching stop number 11, and this is the Holiday Inn and West Ham, Lincoln Bay, the East Bay Inn, and the Staybridge Inn and Suites. Care is required at this stop. The camera again is quite severe, forcing the trolley to take on a very distinct tilt. Make sure you use those handrails and hand holds. That's why they're there. Stop number 11. Where this guy stay? Excellent, thank you. Yeah, no, just show me. Where's the second one of you? So, okay, come on board, my dear. Oh, yeah. Good to see you. Take a seat. Welcome aboard. I'm sure we can get everybody. How many in your party, sir? Yes, we do have 4. Welcome aboard. Good to see you. Someone got tickets there for me? Excellent, thank you very much, man. Yeah, we got you. We got you. We get everybody. That's great. Don't worry, you're good there, sir. Don't worry. Take a seat. You're good. You got covered at the back there. No problem. Excellent. This is stop number 11, guys. Please always remain seated while the trolley is moving and off the side at all times. And we're on our way. Stop number 11. Ahead of us, there are 2 armed bridges. You're clearly going to go on your right once we turn to the left. These are known as factors walk, a factor in a buyer or a broker of cotton. Name factor because that's what you get. He factors money. He factors number. So at the end of the cotton season, an auction will be scheduled to take place ahead of us here. In preparation for that, the wagons will be staged at the top of the ramps loaded with the bales of cotton. As the time approached for the auction, the gentlemen walked from their offices to assemble on the ridge. Factors walk. The auction would begin. The wagons would come trundling down the ramps here, going underneath the bridges, and then the judges would be looking down on those wagons and shouting their bids to the auctioneer. It was very simple and very effective. They would buy the cotton by the wagon load because of the volume they needed to process. Now the next stop is going to be stop number 12. And stop 12 is for the guests for the River Street Inn at the Hyatt Hotel. It's marked on your map as the Cotton Exchange Bell, and we will pull alongside the Cotton Exchange Bell. This time the tilt is in the opposite direction, folks. So do be ready for that. Anyone leaving here, guys? What have I got? I've got any back there on the back row too? Yeah, how many? Excellent. We got 2 together on the back row. Welcome aboard. Thank you so much. The Please always remain seated when the trolley is moving, arms inside at all times. This is stop number 12. We're on our way, guys. The red brick building over there, that is the Savannah Cotton Exchange. In the heyday of King Cotton, it dictated to the world the price the world would pay for cotton, and the world paid it, the power of King Cotton. Look at the figure in front, the winged lion. It's kind of a mythological figure, but he was the harbinger of good fortune, good business, and good money back then. Look to your right. These two cannons on the Washington guns. These were gifts from George Washington without the city back in 1791. One is called George, and one is called Martha. And one is louder than the other. Guess what? I'm not taking this one any further. No. So the next stop is stop 13, and that is City Market, which is open. It's the Prohibition Museum. The Amdas Hotel is the lady outside the store. We don't want to tell you about it. Come on, I'll put it on there.
Personally invite you to board the only tour in Savannah, Georgia, with my name on it. That's right, it's the Paul Dean Tour with Old Town Trolley. And they're going to be telling you my story. And they're even going to have some great Savannah stories too. And I hope before the day is over, y'all can come visit me at the Lady and Sons and put a little south in your mouth. Hope to see y'all there. I always send you love and best dishes.
Now that tour does include a full southern buffet dinner. So the shops are open, the galleries are open, the Prohibition Museum is open. Only Prohibition Museum in the country. And it's very extensive. It's a great experience. You've got interaction days there as well. Also about the bootlegging days of the birth of NASCAR. And by the way, if you don't have a ticket for the Prohibition Museum, I do have coupons here that takes $4 off the entry fee per person. $4 per person. And that would go a long way to the cocktail and the speakeasy if you like. And if you like one of those, let me know as you leave and I'll give you one of those. I try to save you money when you can. You can see me at the main stop, stop 13. This is across there, to your left. Anybody leave stop 13? Stop 13? Street there in that city market. Have we got any seats on the back row there? Yes. Got two at the back on the right, everybody. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Welcome aboard, stop 13. Please always remain seated while the trolley's moving. Baby. Over there. Which one is it? You got one right there for you. Okay, no problem. Welcome aboard. Lovely to see you. Please always remain seated while the trolley is moving. Arms inside at all times, guys. On our way. Square ahead is called Ellis Square, folks. It was named after the second world governor of the colony of Georgia, Henry Ellis. We're turning towards City Market. You turn to the right, to your left. You can see a church, which is the first African Baptist church. Amazing story behind this church. This was built by the slaves of the Brampton Plantation. They work all day in the plantation, walk 3 miles into Savannah, but behind building the church, walk 3 miles back. It was a stop on the Underground Railroad for the escaping slaves. church from the next stop if you wish to sort of get some more information on the Underground Railroad. Look out for a movie that was filmed in Savannah that is yet to be released based on the bestseller The Underground Railroad. Now, the next stop also on your map is Mild Ships at the Sea Museum, which is presently closed on a Monday. It will be open tomorrow at 10 o'clock. One second, guys. Let me give an ETA on this, I'll let them know. By the way, guys, at stop number 1, the visitor centre, this trolley finishes. There's lots to see and do there, restrooms, good AC, cold drinks, museums, but if you just want to transfer to this service, there's one that departs thereafter. Just so we have an idea of numbers, raise your hands. Which continue to. Lovely. And don't forget to try and stay cool and always use the AC. So let me just know. 1 second, I'll get you an ETA magic. Now, also folks, at the next stop, which is stop 15, that's parking lot at the bottom of the bridge. We normally have a ticket check, not always, but we normally do. So whoever's the ticket holder of your party, just have the tickets in hand, whatever format it is, it doesn't matter. So somebody comes on the trolley and it goes real trick, they'll take the stubs, date stamp them, etc. or whatever. And so just have them ready, and then we're on our way to stop number 1. Now, I think transfer to the party. That is where the story starts. It's how Georgia came around one wide railroad with an historical build-up. With 15 stops. Approximately 15 to 20 minutes at every stop, another trolley comes through. Okay, I've just been told to actually skip stop 15 unless somebody wants to be turned down to the parking lot down there. Anyone want to get there? Yeah, okay, I'll get you there, no problem. I have to get there. No ticket check, right? Okay, so we're going next up will be 15 for you guys, and we're not having a ticket check, so cancel what I just said. When you're leaving stop number 1, that's where the story starts. There's a historical build-up, and approximately every 15 to 20 minutes at every stop, another trolley comes through. Now, when you leave the trolley, and this is so very important, guys, orientate yourself to exactly where you got off there. The trolley stop signs are small and some are obscured by the foliage. The drivers can only stop at these to look for something distinctive in their shop, like church, hotel, fountain. Because if you're not at one of our stops, it's waving the trolley driver, but the best you're going to get is if you don't wave. You ain't going to get a ride, ain't going to happen. You know, we're not ignoring on the country, but we're going to get to take care of that stop. We suggest you always get back, the trolley runners say every 15 minutes approximately, so we suggest you get back on the same stop as you got off at, because then the story will continue. And I guarantee it will be a totally different southern accent to mine, but the story should be the same, okay? And here's the ghost trolley putting through for the guests we just left at the last stop, running through to go and get those people. Over they are. side of the road. Obviously, I can see once we actually turn down here. It's all the ever-expanding dormitory accommodation for the SCAD students, Savannah College of Arts and Design. Savannah, the village toured by SCAD with their former glory. Put into good commercial uses on the inside, but outside it is as it did in their heyday. So this is stop 15 as our next stop for the guests who are returning to this particular stop. After that we'll be on our way to stop number 1, the Business Central. Now you on the European tour. She's coming to do the tickets after all, so are you doing it? No, she's not. Oh yes she is. Yes she will, she won't, she will, she won't, she. Yes she will. Get those tickets out, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Wait, said the one with the ticket chair, that's got me confused, okay?
I'm here.
You're here, so it will be done. You don't argue with the female of the species, particularly if she's married, you know. Yes. After a couple of marriages behind me, honey, I did learn, you know.
I said nothing like that.
Now guys, I mean, I know I'm preaching the converted here, but it's a brutal day, heat-wise, humidity-wise, so, you know, keep hydrated, take advantage of the AC. I mean, it's hot on these trolleys, so the visitor centre, there's good AC there. Next stop is stop number 1. We're on our way.
Is this going to where we began at?
Yes, ma'am. This is stop 15. This is the, did you want to see me here? This is the parking lot. You want to return to your vehicle or not? Your vehicle, we go to stop number 1, which is also a big parking lot.
That's
what you want. I'll get you there, no problem. And also here, folks, there are 2 museums that are open for your consideration. We got the Reliquary of Civil Rights, sorry, the Reliquary is closed on a Monday. We got the Railroad Museum, which was the maintenance shed in the centre of Georgia, which is a very extensive complex. And then we do have the History Museum here. Thank you for choosing Old Town Trolley Stores to take you out on, show you this beautiful city of Savannah. We came to Washington City, Washington DC. They know we see you right in the west part of the west coast of San Diego, and of course the latest one is actually Nashville, Tennessee. Because the trolley does finish at the next stop, folks, this is a good time to check around for those personal belongings. Souvenir shopping's got a bad habit of getting overlooked. It's very difficult to reunite. I know it's early days, but it could happen. So you know what? Take it with you when you enjoy. When we check the trolleys for trolley property, the most common items that we find are on the trolley, of all things, are cell phones. Yes. And in this day and age, when everybody appears to be hardwired to their cell phones, should you misplace it, well, you will get an acute attack of separation anxiety. Folks, I have witnessed that. It ain't pretty. So save yourself some grief and make sure you take everything off the trolley that you brought onto the trolley. Over there, that smokestack, that is actually the Railroad Museum. building coming up on your right-hand side is the History Museum. And the entrance to the History Museum and the Visitor Centre are one and the same down at the end.
And by the way, if you've held on with me this long, God bless you. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate that. I assume you watch every single video posted on YouTube about Savannah. Anyway, that was kind of fun. Our first driver had just an adorable accent. Loved that guy. A little hard to hear at times, though. I'm sorry about that, especially with the buses going by. I got to see one of the trolleys go by. There's one of the white trolleys. I know they sometimes have, I believe, a Forrest Gump impersonator on their trolleys. I know some of the trolleys do, and that's one of the reasons I'm not eager to try one of those trolleys. The hop on, hop off one, the red and green ones, those have always been good for us. So we've had good success with them. Anyway, yeah, we're switching trolleys. We're going to have a new driver here in just a moment, and I may pop in here and there to say something else, but we'll see.
Okay, when you want to get back on the trolley, you need to show your boarding pass. Your boarding pass is not your sticker. Your stickers here identify you as our guest versus the other trolleys at the stop, so the tour guide can see that he needs to pick up people. Your boarding pass comes in 4 different shapes and sizes. You may have it on your phone, you might have a receipt stapled to a map, you might have an e-ticket, or you might have that white boarding pass that looks like a postcard. Any one of those, get them out, get them ready, and do what I call flash the driver with the boarding pass, that is. Now, let me just tell y'all, at any time during the tour y'all have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. Does anyone have any questions for me now? This is $1 an hour. Your first hour is free, and then it's $1 an hour. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me just tell you the safety rules on board the trolley. Please remain seated while the trolley is in motion. No alcohol, no smoking. Keep all arms, hands, legs, and body parts inside the trolley, because we really do have some low-hanging branches out there. And also, please, no cell phone use, just have to take pictures. And please keep any conversation to a whisper for the enjoyment of the other guests. Now, with that all said and done, are y'all ready to see Savannah? Yeah! All right, let's hit it. Yes. I know. Let me see, where did that go? Right. No pictures, no man. You see my little thing here messed up? We got a little song coming on here if I can get it to work right. There we go. Clang, clang, clang with the trolley. Ding, ding, ding with the bell. Sing, sing, sing with my heartstrings. From the moment I saw it, I fell. Now that, of course, was our trolley song by Judy Garland. Now to your left, with the Liberty Bell-shaped windows, is the Visitor Center. It's a restored brick train shed built in 1858 that used to echo the sounds of the locomotives and the train cars that went through there. Now inside there is the Savannah History Museum with over 250 years of Georgia's history. There's a restored special to Georgia locomotive engine inside there. Also a detailed model of the SS Savannah, first steamship to cross the Atlantic Ocean. But also inside there, for those of you who are movie buffs, is a replica of the bench that Forrest Gump sat on.
Replica.
On your right, these were all old cotton warehouses, also built in the mid-1800s. Farmers would bring your cotton from inland Georgia to the port of Savannah, store it right here, and then it would get distributed throughout the world. Now, this first cotton warehouse on your right has been restored by the Savannah College of Art and Design. Here are now studios and classrooms, and you will hear me refer to them as SCAD. They started here in 1978 with 71 students. They now have well over 12,000 students. Now take a good look at this warehouse on your right, because we're going to compare it to the one right behind it there. Now they actually did have plans to restore that one also, but before they had a chance to get to it, the roof started to collapse on them. So they were unable to save the roof, but they did shore up the sidewalls with beams. So the first one on your right is for inside classrooms, the second one on your right is for outside classrooms. So they are still utilizing the building. To your left, these are dormitories for the Savannah College for SCAD. These dormitories, though, on your left, these are the first ones they built brand new from the ground up. They were prefer to restore the old buildings if they can get a hold of them. In fact, they've done over 70 buildings inside and surrounding the historic district. They've really done a lot for the restoration movement here in Savannah. Now, before we actually get into the historic district, let me just tell you a little bit about the history of Georgia. On April 21st, 1732, King George II of England granted a charter to James Oglethorpe and 20 trustees to found the colony of Georgia. Now, Oglethorpe, he actually handpicked 114 settlers. He wanted people that were honest, hard-working, and that wanted to start a new way of life. So they set sail on the ship Gaz. And they arrived at Yamacraw Bluff, which is what we now call Savannah, on February 12, 1733. And when they arrived here, they met an Indian chief by the name of Tomachichi. Tomachichi was the chief of the Yamacraw Indians. Now, Tomachichi was almost 7 foot tall. He had only one good eye and he had bear claws tattooed all over his chest. Now, y'all know that must have been a sight for those short Englishmen back in those days. Can you imagine? But as it turned out, Tomachichi became very good friends with Oglethorpe, helped out those early colonists quite a bit. So a lot of people consider him to be one of the co-founders of Georgia. Now, in the charter to Georgia, there were 4 prohibitions, 4 things you could not do in this colony to maintain a utopian society. I'm going to tell you about those throughout the war. But there were 3 main reasons for the founding of the colony. Now, the first reason was, of course, to help the poor England. If you were living in England back in those days and you could not pay your bills, you had a really good chance of going to debtor's prison. But now you can come to Georgia, start all over again, wipe the slate clean. The second reason was more military in mind. They wanted Georgia to act as a military buffer zone between the Spanish colony of Florida to the south and the already established and more prosperous colony of South Carolina to the north. The English were afraid those Spaniards might come up through Florida trying to invade South Carolina, but Georgia was designed to stop them, not to let them get through. And the third reason was agricultural. They used corn to put more here and have it turned out. While beef is a cotton flourished here. That is why we are known as the beef state. Even though South Carolina actually grows more beef than we do. We think we grow better. Now, how many do I have on board today that are actually from South Carolina? Nobody? Well, good. Yes. On your right, we have the Savannah Civic Center. Still 1972 as the center of our cultural and social functions. Inside that Civic Center, we have 50 events as good questions and practical. How cultural can you get, right? But also inside there is the Johnny Mercer Theater, named for the singer and songwriter who was a native of Savannah. He did such songs as Days of Wine and Roses, You Must Have Been a Beautiful Baby, and of course he did one of my favorites, Moon River.
River, wider than a mile, I'm crossing you someday.
Now, when Oglethorpe arrived here, he actually brought the city plan with him. He had already designed it to be the grid pattern, having 24 squares laid out. Savannah was the first planned community here in the United States.
What if that was close to
Coming up on our right, we have the Independent Presbyterian Church. Now, the congregation to this church dates back to 1755. The original church was built on this site in 1819, but was destroyed by the Great Fire of 1889, so they built this one and completed it in 1891. Woodrow Wilson married his first wife in the manse of this church where the preacher lived. But it is from the steeple of this church, which is the tallest one here in Savannah, at 227 feet, that the feather floated down in the beginning of the movie, Forrest Gump. Now, when we get around the corner, y'all, we actually will get a much better view of that steeple. I'll point it out to you when we get there. But we are pulling into stop number 2. Please remain seated until I come to a complete stop. Here at number 2. Okay, so go ahead and continue on. Directly in front of us here is Chippewa Square, named for the Battle of Chippewa in the War of 1812. But right where that Chippewa Square sign is at, right behind that is where the bus bed sat for the filming of the movie Forrest Gump. That is where Forrest Gump sat eating that box of chocolates. You know, they even changed the direction of the flow of the traffic going around this square to the opposite direction. So the bus doors would open up towards the bench. Now if you look to your right here, coming up at this opening, this is where you get a better view of that steeple right there.
My name's Forrest Gump. People call me Forrest Gump.
You know, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And that's all I got to say about that. Here on your right is the First Baptist Church, built in 1833. The unique thing about this church, though, is that when Sherman occupied the city, it is the only one that held services for both the Union troops and the Confederates. In fact, it's one of the few churches that actually remained open during the occupation. On your right, we have the Barrow Mansion, built in the classic style of architecture in 1848. Beautiful ironwork on this home. You know, ironwork was the signature sign of wealth back in those days. Now, coming up on our right, take a look at the drain pipes on this house, and I want you to follow them down to the sidewalk. You're going to see one on each corner are dolphin downspouts, designed to look like a mythological dolphin. But I don't know, y'all, maybe ask me. I think they look a little bit more like catfish or carp. Yeah. To your left, in the center of the square, is the statue of our founder, James Oglethorpe. Sculpted and designed by Daniel Chester French and Henry Bacon. They also did the seated Lincoln in Washington, D.C. Now, Oglethorpe's statue is facing the south, and for good reason. Whenever we erect a military monument, it is always erected facing the enemy. And of course, the Spaniards down in Florida were the enemy. Take a look to your right, you'll see the old telly box sitting right next to the old sixpence pub, an English-style pub. Now, many of y'all on board the trolley today have ever seen the movie Something to Talk About with Julia Roberts. You might just recognize that pub. You see, that is the pub where Julia, in her nightgown, caught her husband with the other woman. Dennis Quaid played her husband in that movie. Why, that scoundrel. You know, we've become quite the hot spot for filmmaking here. They just finished filming Gemini Man, which will be coming out next year. But they've also filmed the original Cape Fear here with Robert Mitchum and Gregory Peck, The Legend of Bagger Vance with Will Smith and Matt Damon, and of course, part of Forces of Nature with Sandra Bullock, and of course, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. We are now pulling into, well, first off, take a look at this mall-style building. Henry Ford had a plantation about 9 miles up the river. He liked this building so much he bought it. It became our first Ford dealership and showroom here in Savannah. And we are now pulling into stop number 3. East of Main Street is when you come to a little stop. Hilton, North Road. Here is stop number 3. On your right there, that pumpkin-colored house there is the Sorrel Weed House, designed by Charles Kluski in 1839 in the Greek Revival and Regency style of architecture for Francis and Matilda Sorrel. This was the first house built on the square, and this is Madison Square, named for our 4th President, James Madison. Now, the statue in the center of the square is a statue of Sergeant William Jasper, an American Revolutionary War hero that always carried the flag, the colors, into battle. Mortally wounded in the siege of Savannah, October 9, 1779, he is the only non-commissioned officer to have a statue erected in his honor for that war. And here on your right is the Green Melton House. Now, this house was designed by a famous architect of New York City named John Norris. He designed this house for a British citizen named Charles Green at a cost of $93,000. One of the most expensive homes of that time. And when Sherman came to Savannah on his famous march to the sea, Charles Green offered his home to Sherman to use as his headquarters, so as not to embarrass any of the native Savannahans by them having to host the enemy in their house. So Sherman did use the Green Meldrum House as his headquarters, and it is from there that he sent a message to President Lincoln, and it said, "I beg to present you, sir, the city of Savannah as a Christmas gift, with 150 heavy guns, plenty of ammunition, and 25,000 bales of cotton." Not a bad Christmas present, huh? The city and everything in it. Now on your left here is a red brick building with a rounded arch and cannons out front. That was designed by William Preston in the Romanesque style of architecture. It used to be the Savannah Volunteer Guards Armory, but it is now owned by SCAD. In fact, it's the first building they restored when they started here in 1978. It's now a store, it's called Shop SCAD, and it is where the students display and sell some of their own artwork. We are coming into Monterey Square, looking for the American victory at Monterey in the Mexican War. And the monument in the center is dedicated to Count Casimir Pulaski, a Polish nobleman that helped us out during the Revolutionary War. He was the highest foreign-ranking officer to serve with us in that war. He also died in the siege of Savannah. But he's also known as the father of the American cavalry, and he's actually buried underneath that monument right there. Here on your right, we have the beautiful Twin Mirrors house. This was also designed by John Norris, but for a Presbyterian minister who wanted it for his twin daughters because they argued about everything. Well, then they even argued about who'd get the right side, who'd get the left side. Of course they did. Next on our right, this is the house made famous by the book and the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. This is the Mercer Williams house. Originally built for General Hugh Mercer as his family home, great-grandfather of Johnny Mercer. Now, if you look to the left of the front doors, those two double windows with the chandelier shining in it there, that is the study. And that is where Jim Williams allegedly shot his friend, Danny Hansford. Now, it took him 4 trials, and still not quite sure how he managed it, but he finally got himself acquitted on that 4th trial. Directly ahead of us is that yellowish-colored building, the Temple Mikvah, Israel. Now, if you look at the style of architecture on that building, it is the only Gothic-styled synagogue in the United States today. It also has the 3rd oldest Jewish congregation in the U.S. 43 Jewish settlers arrived here in 1733, 5 months after the original settlers got here. Here on your right, we have the Armstrong House. This house was built by a wealthy shipping merchant in 1917 as a single-family dwelling. Big family house. The fence around this house is an exact replica of the fence around Buckingham Palace, and the bricks covered in marble dust. Now we're going to be looking into the park behind that white marine monument to the big white fountain down there. That is the Forsyth Fountain. Now that fountain was erected in 1858, but we actually ordered that fountain from a mail order catalog out of New York City. Page 5, y'all. Yeah. It's a replica one from France. We did. We got it from good old New York. Now, when that fountain arrived here, you know it was painted blue, orange, and purple. What a combination, right? It took us over 50 years to repaint that thing white. That's why they call us slow man sometimes around here. Now, to your right, in between these two homes, up the steps on the pedestal, are 2 green pineapples. The pineapple is the universal symbol of hospitality. When hosts would have here, let's say for a dinner party with drinks and friends and everything, well, you'd see 2 pineapples sitting up on the mantle, one on each corner. So you'd eat, drink, and be merry, have a grand old time. But later on in the evening, if you look back up on top of that mantle and those pineapples were gone, it meant the party was over. It was time for you to leave. A unique way of ending a party, don't you think? Yeah. On your right here is Hodgkin Hall, home of the Georgia Historical Society. That building was dedicated by Margaret Stoker to her husband, William Hodgkin. That building has over 50,000 manuscripts and transcripts of Georgia history inside there, Oglethorpe's original compass, and they are the 3rd oldest historical society in the U.S. Not a 3rd. Now look at the different style of architecture to your right, because we have entered the Victorian district. You will find Queen Anne style homes with the towers, some Italian egg villa homes, some Renaissance revival, just to name a few of the different styles of architecture here. Now look to your left into the park, to the big huge monument with a soldier standing up on top of it there. Now that soldier up there is facing the north, which means he is facing his enemy. Because that's the Confederate War. Now that monument was bought and paid for by the wives and daughters of the Confederate soldiers who lost their lives in the Civil War. Now those ladies, they had that monument made all the way up in Canada out of Canadian sandstone. And then when it was shipped back down here to Savannah, why, it was not only out the touch, get used to it. No farther north. They literally shipped that monument via the Atlantic Ocean until it got back down here to the south. You know, it had only been about 10 years since the war had ended. So we feel quite certain there was going on next. Oh yeah. They even, this part right here is Forsyth Park, laid out in 1851. It encompasses 30 acres. It was named after John Forsyth, who was a governor of Georgia. Now we're coming up to our next monument, the Spanish-American War Monument, nicknamed the Hiker, dedicated to the men of Savannah that helped keep the fight in that war. And we're going to be pulling into stop number 4 in just a moment. For those of you that might be getting off here, it's been my privilege to tell you all about the history of Savannah. Tips are greatly appreciated, but please remain seated until I do come to a complete stop and open up the doors here at stop number 4.
All right, and we're back to stop number 4. And I'll go ahead and end this video here. I actually filmed her doing the next couple stops too. But we kind of covered those earlier in the video. So the video stops and starts at stop number 4. The way they were doing the tour back in 2018. We've done this trolley tour. I think the first time we went to Savannah was 2012. Last time was just last year, 2023. Again, I put up a couple of videos of us taking laps around with the Old Town Trolley, and I thought I would put this up too, just in case. I know, 6 years. Obviously, the town has made a few changes. And yeah, anyway, it's just there in case anybody cares to go back and look. I hope you enjoyed that. Savannah, one of my favorite cities, period. The place is gorgeous, and I always enjoy going there. On our last trip, we stayed about 10 miles outside of Savannah. Stayed at a very nice and very affordable hotel. I've put up a video about that. It's the Embassy Suites Hilton Airport. Very nice hotel, but Savannah's the kind of city I like to stay in. It's nice having a room right there in the middle of everything. Anyway, again, if you've watched this to this point, God bless you. Thank you. Again, you obviously watch everything posted about Savannah. Anyway, if you live there, if you're a fan of Savannah, let me know what you think. I'm always learning stuff about it. I've read several books on Savannah, especially relating to the Civil War, and I'm always just finding out new stuff about it. But yeah, that was our Old Town Trolley tour around Savannah, and this was July 2018.